two notable individuals that you absolutely need to know. To my right, I have Mr. Antoine Gist, who is the Assistant State Director of BLEXIT, Pennsylvania. And then I have James Freeman, who is the City Coordinator for the state of Pennsylvania. Thank you guys so much for agreeing to stop and talk to me today. We were discussing earlier something of great importance, and the topic of illegal immigration came up. And when that topic came up, one, you, James, had mentioned something that I had no idea of, and we're going to get to that. But before we do, Antoine, talk to me. Everybody, illegal immigration is on everybody's mind. But what I'd like for you to do is talk to my audience about how in your community, specifically in Philadelphia, how it is a problem. However, communities of color in particular, why they don't think it is as big of a problem as it really is. Talk to some of the challenges or the way that this conversation is being shaped to where people don't even know what's happening right before their very eyes.
So, unlike Chicago and New York, where you have individuals protesting because they've taken over, abandoned schools, and they're inside of shelters, and people actually can see it, right? And they see the resources being taken away. Philadelphia is a little different because you don't see it out front. It's almost happening behind the scenes. So if you don't know, if you're not in the know of the law, the lay of the city, you won't see it. Now, there's actually been, I live in Delaware County, which is actually about 20 minutes away from Philadelphia, and we have had individuals noticing immigrants moving into abandoned hospitals, abandoned, buildings. They've actually had people who are actually noticing them doing that, doing that in Delaware County. That's just in Delaware County. Now, what I've seen is, individuals who don't necessarily speak the language, right? And they're using food stamps. They don't speak the language, right? So they're going into the stores, buying large quantities of groceries. They're not even giving the residents proper, etiquette of manner. Just like, hello, how you doing? But it's just like they're, pushing people out the way, being very, very rude to the residents, and that's what I've seen in Delaware County. Now, Philadelphia, there's definitely a lot of grumbling of them moving in and not, again, addressing the citizens, so they're definitely being pushed out the way. James Freeman, my comrade here, he definitely has seen a lot more than I have. Right.
Well, I think it's interesting that you talk about the illegal immigrants and they're coming in and they're using a lot of the services. I would tend to say that probably the reason why more residents don't know more about it is because you guys have a lot of government corruption, which allows me, I want to talk to you, James, because you told me something today that completely blew me away. James, tell my audience about one of the assistant district attorneys in the greater Philadelphia area that is intimately connected to this illegal immigration conversation. What is it that you told me earlier that blew me away?
Okay, so when this guy was in Congress, he was testifying in Congress on a mass deportation hearing.
Okay.
And during that hearing, he said he learned that he was illegal when he went to go get a driver's license, and he learned that he was illegal. So
wait. Who learned that who was illegal?
Food Day, the guy who's serving as assistant district attorney in Philadelphia.
So let me repeat that. Philadelphia currently has an illegal alien serving in a public office as an assistant district attorney. How did this happen?
Well, it happened because Obama passed DACA in 2012, which happened to be a lifeline for illegals to infiltrate our public sector jobs and access to financial aid, scholarships, all the things that an American citizen would be privy to.
Right. Can you explain to the audience just a brief overview of this DACA program?
Well, the DACA program is actually it's the deferred assistance of childhood arrival.
Okay.
So basically, it defers their deportation because they were brought here as kids, and as they got older, they didn't know they were illegal. So Obama put things in place where he said you could come out of hiding, pay your taxes, and get in the back of the line. Well, how somebody get in the back of the line when they're able to do everything a person who obtains citizenship can do?
Right.
So obviously he's in front of the line, not instead of back of the line. Because that was a quote that Obama had. You can pull up the video when he signed DACA. He said, pay your taxes and get back in line.
Right.
Do it the right way. So this guy went years and years and years, knowing he was illegal, went to law school, went through our process to get in the job.
Right.
And then
passed the bar.
Got a Supreme Court Justice certificate to be a lawyer in the United States. And he has prosecuted so many people in Philadelphia. And he has the nerve to say, hey, you know, if I get deported, that's going to put people at risk. Well, first of all, you are putting people at risk being illegal.
Right.
You know, so he had, the whole time he had a family here, he married somebody, had a good life, taking opportunities from people like me and other people that would have gotten that scholarship. They could have got that law degree. They could have got that assistant district attorney. But this is the notion where they say, oh, they only picking fruit. They only are working low-wage jobs. No, these people are infiltrating the higher education jobs all the way to open up big corporations. And all this stuff is illegal, you know, because they're not legal. He wasn't lawfully able to be in our country to be awarded these benefits that he's getting.
Right.
So
now let me play devil's advocate a little bit, because some might argue and say, well, listen, he didn't create this system. He just knows or knew how to game the system to work to his advantage. And the fact that he went to law school and became a lawyer and a district attorney, I mean, isn't that what we want? We want the best and the brightest to come.
Well, the best and your brightest that's coming legally. We don't want the best and the brightest that's illegal. We don't want to set a tone that you can break the law, and then some president could come in like a dictator, like Barack Obama, and say, I'm giving DACA to you. By the way, DACA is a green card without having a physical green card. Because that's what a green card would afford you to do. It would afford you the best of America. He got the best of America without even having citizenship.
I mean, some would argue that it's just a technicality, but let me ask you this. Talk to me about how, in this situation, the 14th Amendment is also being used and applied to this illegal immigration situation.
Okay, let me tell you. The 14th Amendment, when they passed the 13th Amendment, it was to free the slaves. As we know, we got to have legal loopholes, so they have to check. You have to close the loopholes. How do you close them? Well, you got to bring the 14th Amendment to actually carry the 13th Amendment, because what happens is the 14th Amendment makes sure children of slaves are not slaves.
Children of slaves are not slaves. Okay.
Yeah. So when so we have to protect those children. So when the naturalization comes in, it says naturalized of a legal citizen. So if you are illegal, you're not privy to your child being a citizen, even though the child is born in the United States. It's not a citizen because the parent of that child is not a citizen. So the rules don't apply. Naturalization is dealing with green card holders, legal citizens. That's what it was dealing with. What Trump had argued, he said, yeah, the 14th Amendment only applied to the slaves. And if you go look at it and you look at the old documents, it tells you exactly what the 14th Amendment was for. It was never written for illegal immigrants to come in here and drop a baby as soon as they get across the border and all of a sudden they're a citizen. You only can get citizenship through the proper channels of going through immigration and taking a test, doing things the right way, seeking your citizenship in your country, going back and forth like everybody else did, but these people are taking advantage of the 14th Amendment because the 14th Amendment hasn't been challenged yet. We allow the Democrats to try to throw the 14th Amendment around like a person that's illegal could just have a whole bunch of babies in their citizen. Then when it's time to deport them, they want to make us feel bad. Oh, you're going to deport the citizens of illegals? You're going to leave the child here and say, no, we're deporting the whole family because the whole family is considered illegal.
Right.
They're not lawfully able to be here.
Right.
As much as nice as we want to be, if we do this, this is going to make our country at a great national security threat. And the thing about it is, like this prosecutor, Fude Ture, Assistant District Attorney Fude Ture, is sitting in the prosecutor's office prosecuting crime, sending Americans to jail, has access to their credit line, their taxes, all of the background, their education. Everything comes up when you run a background check when you're trying to prosecute somebody. So he's privy to all that information. A person who's not a lawful citizen is privy to all the information on every one of us. That should scare us in this country, that we have people that are DACA recipients, aka illegal aliens, able to be prosecutors and prosecute citizens in this country. Why I went through a secret clearance to get it to work at one of the most largest airport companies in America, which is Boeing. I had to fill out hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents, massive federal background checks, my privacy invaded. And this guy just comes in here and he doesn't have to provide none of the stuff that I provided.
Right.
So I'm really trying.
He could possibly prosecute you if you were to commit a crime.
So my thing is this. When are we going to say enough is enough? When are the American people going to stand up and say, look, we are not going to allow people to come in our country and be prosecutors after they broke the law?
Right.
That's crazy.
And if I could add, you, James Freeman, or myself, or April, we couldn't go to Sierra Leone and get a government job where we're prosecuting and actually depending on the freedom of their citizens. They wouldn't give us that audacity. They wouldn't give us that type of power.
They wouldn't. Well, this is why I think it's so important for us as American citizens. We need to be honest. The black community, by and large, I brought up the 14th Amendment, and this is no shade, but the fact that we don't have a basic working knowledge of the Constitution to even know what the 14th Amendment is, how it's applied, how it's being misapplied, misused in an unlawful way to make us feel as if we're not being humanitarian and if we're not being philanthropic toward people who, yes, they want to come to America for a better life. Well, shoot, anybody would. They scratching through the fence to get here, but that's not the way it is done. There is the rule of law in this country, and I think it was so amazing for you to highlight this and to bring this to my awareness. I had never heard of this district attorney before, so I appreciate you bringing that up to allow me to share that with my audience, and I really would love to continue this conversation, but this is why organizations like BLEXIT are so important, because you've got great minds like these two gentlemen who I just met today, just in a normal conversation in passing. James tells me this, then Antoine he chimes in and adds value to that conversation, and now all of you are privy to that conversation. So I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for taking this time to sit with me, to educate my audience on this information. How can we learn more about you and you?
Well, you can go and follow me at Antoine Gist on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm also a member of BLEXIT Pennsylvania, so you can follow that chapter of BLEXIT Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. And what about you, James?
Well, you can follow me, Rails Twin, That's REELZ Twin on all platforms. I'm part of BLEXIT. You know, we are the largest minority conservative group in America.
Right.
Changing minds. We're inspiring young men to be personally responsible for the things they do, and we educate them on, you know, just taking charge of your own life. Stop being a group thinker and be a free thinker.
Right.
You know, be a free thinker. You know, stop thinking that just because your mom and your dad and everybody else did something that way, that you have to go that way.
Absolutely.
You know, we want our young youth to know what a free market is, what entrepreneurship is. We're out there educating people on these things, on just being independent thinkers, you know? And that's what we want to do with BLEXIT. We want to be able to teach people that you can emancipate yourselves from your own mental slavery and be free. Be victors and not a victim, you know? And that's what we want to teach our young people.
Listen, James is out here preaching. So before we cue up the Hammond B3, I'm going to sign us out. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for taking this time out to talk with me. Until next time, you guys, grace and peace.
Thank you.
Thank you. Man, how you broke it down like that? Is this just an area that has interested you so much that you've just learned all the ins and outs of what these fools were actually doing?
Well, I be on TikTok a lot, so. And
I know. So we live in the same city,
right?
And it kind of went over my head a while ago. I never even heard of this guy until I saw your video.
Yeah.
What the hell?
He's a DA. And the thing about it is, like you said, how does it get past you?
Right.
Chicago has big money.
Right.
New York has big money. Philadelphia is the smallest, largest city out of all the major cities.
Right.
So you could throw $5 million to illegals and nobody would never know about it. You want to know why? Because people don't pay attention to what the elected officials doing.
They don't.
People just vote. They shut up and vote.
Yeah.
The city council is never held accountable in New York. I mean in Philadelphia. Sorry.
Right. New York
too. But
don't forget too, James. We live in a city that's really the thing that moves the needle for our city is sports.
Sports is that big?
Oh yeah, the Eagles.
The Eagles and the Sixers.
The Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, hockey.
I say the Phillies and the hockey.
So you have the bread and circus controlling the narrative all year round. So the stories like that will be under the radar. So you'll never see that.
Unless you are politically engaged.
Just like the mayor just threw out a press conference 3 weeks ago talking about she is going to protect illegal immigrants. Josh Appeal said he's going to protect illegal immigrants from mass
So that's your governor.
Yeah, that's
the mayor.
And the freaking mayor.
Standing side by side. And,
so do you think they're going to try to stand in Trump's way?
Everybody missed that press conference because illegal immigration is not a big thing. Philadelphia is so terrible, illegals don't even want to come there. Because there's nothing.
Yes, and don't forget, when Trump said bad things happen in Philadelphia, he means of all the corruption, the deep-seated corruption he's talking about.
Right.
So he's not talking, again, Trump always touches the needle.
Right, he just say just enough to get you to think. You're like, what do you mean?
Right, what do you mean? Because the city has deep-seated corruption.
Yeah, just like you see Kensington, right?
Oh my gosh. All them crackheads and stuff.
Open drug market.
What the heck is that?
That is walking zombie land. And we've done several initiatives out there where
it's not safe to be down there though.
When Joe Biden did the initiative of crack kits, where they were actually giving out drug paraphernalia, and we came up with an initiative called Hope Bag, where we gave out Bibles, socks, tools.
Did you say hope or hope?
Hope Bag. Okay. Because we want to give those. We want to give them hope.
Yes, not hope.
We want to give them the word. We want to conversate with them.
Right.
We want to actually, talk to them, find out, because there are some really brilliant people
down there.
And they have just caught a bad lick. You know what I'm talking about? They took a good lick. They caught a bad lick. And there's actually giving needles, right? Like, James, you've seen it, and you've been really
taken away.
Oh yeah, I was
it's
like, I didn't want to go down there.
It's depressing. Like you
I
can
mean, we're
be
from
out
the Bronx.
there.
We done seen some stuff,
You
but
seen
I'm
some
sure
stuff.
it's
But
probably.
But
see the
I gotta say,
zombie land.
Giuliani cleaned it up.
Yeah.
He used to look like that, but he
You know,
cleaned it
it used
up.
to be, right.
But yeah, it used to be crackers everywhere.
Everywhere. Listen, I grew up, I knew how to identify a crack valve probably because before I could do fractions. It was so many little crack, the purple tops, the red tops. We used to collect them, We used to collect them. That's how bad it was.
Yeah,
I told my kids, and it was like, what's a crack valve? I was like, oh, Lord.
But see, now we
Them
talking
babies
about
don't
needles.
even know.
We're talking needles.
Oh, we used to see the needles
Yeah,
too.
but then the needles are on the ground.
Yes.
Where you look, there's needles
Syringes,
I
everywhere.
believe that. No, it was so I had crack valves, needles, and used prophylactics.
Yeah, it's bad out there.
Yeah,
It's bad.
just
Like people will die people are like
On the sidewalk. OD.
OD.
But now New York got another big story. You ever heard of Jeffrey Madry?
No.
He's the top chief in New York City.
Okay.
He sits right next to Eric Adams in the police commission.
Right. What's wrong with him?